The amber liquid in my glass shimmered under the kitchen's dim light. But something was off. A faint swirl, like a ghost stirring beneath the surface. I froze, my fingers tightening around the tumbler, the ice clinking softly as my heart thudded. Was it just the bourbon playing tricks, or had I seen it, a speck of powder dissolving into nothing? I glanced at Claire, my wife of 8 years, humming softly as she chopped vegetables across the counter. Her movements were too precise, too calm, like a performer aware of her audience. My chest tightened. Something wasn't right. Our marriage hadn't been a fairy tale lately. Claire's warmth had faded, replaced by a cool distance that crept in like frost on a window pane. She'd stopped lingering in bed with me, her laughter no longer spilling into our late-night talks. Instead, she'd slip away to work late, or lose herself in her phone, her fingers dancing across the screen with a secrecy that made my stomach churn. I'd dismissed it, stress, I told myself, or maybe just the wear of years. But now, staring at that glass, doubt clawed at me. "Everything okay, Tom?" Claire's voice was smooth, almost too sweet, as she glanced over her shoulder. Her hazel eyes met mine, but they didn't hold like they used to. They darted away, quick as a startled bird. "Yeah," I lied, forcing a smile, just savoring the drink. I raised the glass, watching her reaction. Her lips twitched, a flicker of something, relief? My pulse quickened. I set the glass down untouched, and reached for hers instead, sitting innocently by the cutting board. "Mind if I try yours? Looks refreshing." Her knife paused mid-chop, a beat too long. "Oh sure," she said, her voice tightening like a wire. "It's just sparkling water." I took a sip, my eyes locked on hers. The bubbles fizzed on my tongue, clean and crisp. Nothing. Maybe I was paranoid. But as I set her glass back, I nudged mine toward her. "Here, have some of mine. It's your favorite bourbon." Her smile faltered, a crack in her composure. "I'm good," she said, turning back to the vegetables. "I've got dinner to finish." My skin prickled. She hadn't touched her drink in 10 minutes. Yet she was dodging mine like it was poison. The room felt smaller, the air thicker, as if the walls were leaning in to listen. I couldn't shake the image of that swirl in my glass. It gnawed at me, a splinter in my mind. I excused myself to the bathroom, my steps deliberate, and locked the door. My phone's camera was still set to record from a work project earlier. I hit the button and slipped it into my shirt pocket, lens peeking out. If I was wrong, I'd laugh at myself later. If I was right, I didn't want to think about it. Back in the kitchen, Claire was pouring my bourbon down the sink, her movements quick and guilty. My stomach dropped. "What are you doing?" I asked, keeping my voice light, though it felt like shouting. "Oh," she jumped, the empty glass slipping from her hand and shattering on the tile. It went flat. "I was going to pour you a fresh one." Her eyes were wide, but not with surprise, with fear. "Flat bourbon." I raised an eyebrow, stepping closer. The shards glittered on the floor like broken promises. "That's a new one." My heart pounded, but I kept my tone steady, a mask over the storm inside. "Why don't you have some of yours instead? You've barely touched it." Her face paled, and she laughed, a brittle, nervous sound. "I'm not thirsty," she said, but her hands trembled as she swept the glass fragments into a pile. I picked up her sparkling water and held it out to her, my gaze unwavering. "Come on, Claire. Just a sip." The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. Her eyes flicked to the glass, then back to me, and in that moment, I saw it. The truth, raw and ugly, in the way her lips parted but no words came. "Tom, don't be silly," she whispered, but her voice cracked, and she stepped back, bumping into the counter. I set her glass down and picked up mine, the one she'd poured earlier, now refilled from the bottle on the counter. "Fine," I said, swirling it under the light. No swirl this time, but the memory of it burned in my mind. "Let's both drink. To us." I raised my glass, watching her closely. Her chest rose and fell too fast, her fingers gripping the counter's edge. I can't," she stammered, her eyes darting to the door. "I feel sick." She turned, but I was faster, stepping between her and the exit. "Claire," I said, my voice low, trembling with the weight of what I was about to ask. "What did you put in my drink?" Her face crumpled, and for a moment, I thought she'd cry. But then her shoulders squared, and she looked at me with a defiance I hadn't seen in years. "You're paranoid, Tom," she spat. "You're always looking for something to blame me for." "Then drink it," I challenged, holding out my glass. "Prove me wrong." She stared at the bourbon, her breath hitching, and then she grabbed it, her hand shaking so badly the liquid sloshed over the rim. She brought it to her lips, hesitated, and then drank, deeply, desperately, like she was trying to drown something inside her. My heart sank as she set the glass down, her eyes glassy, her movements already sluggish. "Claire." My voice broke. I didn't want to be right. But as her knees buckled and she sank to the floor, muttering incoherently, I knew. I knelt beside her, my hands shaking as I checked her pulse, steady, but slow. Whatever she'd used, it wasn't lethal. Not yet. "Why?" I whispered, my throat tight with grief and rage. She looked up at me, her eyes unfocused but sharp with something like regret. "I didn't want to hurt you," she slurred, her words heavy with the drug's weight. "I just needed you to sleep, so I could leave. With him." Him. The word hit like a fist, stealing my breath. I'd suspected late-night texts, her sudden girls' trips, the way she'd flinch at my touch, but hearing it was different. It was real. "Who?" I demanded, my voice raw. "Who is he?" "Mark," she murmured, her head lolling against the cabinet. "From work. I love him." The kitchen spun around me, the world tilting under the weight of her confession. Love. Not a fling, not a mistake, but love. I stumbled back, my hand brushing the phone in my pocket. It was still recording, capturing every word, every shattering moment. I forced myself to breathe, to think. She'd tried to drug me to slip away with him. She'd betrayed me in our own home, in the life we'd built together. I called an ambulance, my voice steady despite the chaos in my chest. As the paramedics arrived, I handed them the glass, the one she'd drunk from, and told them what I suspected. They took her away, her eyes half closed, her betrayal laid bare. I stood in the empty kitchen, the shards of glass still scattered on the floor, and pulled out my phone. I saved the recording. Every word of her confession preserved. The divorce papers were filed the next week. I didn't confront her about Mark, didn't need to. The recording was enough. Proof for the lawyers, for the court, for the part of me that still wanted to believe I'd been wrong. Claire thought she could knock me out, leave me in the dark while she ran to him. But in the end, she drugged herself with her own lies. And I was the one left standing, holding the truth.